Hello guys, welcome to CloudVai. In today's sessions, I am going to discuss how to migrate on-premises Oracle database to Oracle Autonomous Database Cloud using MV2ADB. Okay, now before going into the MV2ADB, the question is that what is MV2ADB and why you are going to use that. MV2ADB is a kind of a Oracle Cloud Infrastructure tool that move data to autonomous database in one click. The requirements and the features and operations, it is given in the document ID. We are going to see the document ID very soon, and I will discuss what is the requirement and what is the features and operations we are going to use it. Okay, so this is the basic architecture of the MV2ADB tool. You can see that this is on-premises Oracle. It is on-premises. For my case, I will be using this in the compute instance OCI level. So here your Oracle instance is there. In the same instance, you are going to install the MV2ADB, and it will be then thereafter there are multiple steps is there. The first step is that it will create an export dump, EXPDB. Then it will transfer the export dump into the Oracle object stores. Okay, so and from the object store it will be doing this IMPDB, and it will transfer, it will move the tables and the data to the Oracle Autonomous Database. There are multiple steps involved, like you can create the, you can verify, you can create the object stores, object bucket. Then after that you can create a you can export to the you can export to a local file system. From the local private systems you can transfer the put dump, like you can transfer the particular backup, export backup into the object store, and from the object store also you can do the import, and you can migrate the data to the Oracle Autonomous Database. Okay, so here the steps we are going to discuss. And the first step we are going to discuss about the source and the target database. For our source database, it is on-prem Oracle database. For our case, it is the Oracle database running in the compute instance, so it will be our source. And our target database, it will be definitely a Oracle Autonomous Database. And another step, the second step, I am going to show you this how to install and configure the Oracle Autonomous Database Schema Advisors. Schema Advisor is a tool which we can run. It will give you some kind of guidance, which object will be transferred and which is not, what is the pre and post actions should be there, and it will give you a kind of overview what's going to happen, what you can expect during this migration. And the third steps, I'll show you how to install and configure MV2ADB. This is the major steps, like the configuration of the MV2ADB is definitely a major steps, and there are a lot of steps, sub steps involved. And the last is there execute the MV2ADB, and here I will be showing you the different steps, like verify, create object stores, like create bucket, then doing the export, then transfer the export from the local file system to the object stores, and then the import the IMPDB from object store to the autonomous database, and the last is the verify. Okay, here this is the document, this is the master documents. This is the master documents I am going to discuss. This is the Oracle document. Okay, so as I said, first we will discuss about the requirements. Now okay, first about the MV2ADB requirements. The requirement is that the following are the requirements. You can see the requirement sections here. So first is the HTTP connectivity between on-premises and the object stores, if netlink not in use, to move EXPDB, IMPDB. This is the HTTP connections you have to have, how the connections will be there in between there. Okay, so SQLnet connectivity on premises and autonomous database, this is also required because you have to have a client where you can do the SQL client should be options, SQL client should be there, SQL connections, net connect should be available. Okay, and then wallet zip. Okay, ADB wallet zip, you have to it's already mentioned, you have to have a wallet file, wallet zip file for this MV2ADB. Next thing is that latest instant client. This portions is required whenever you are having a different server where you install this MV2ADB. Since I have installed the MV2ADB on my source Oracle server, so I will be using this Oracle database client itself. Otherwise you can install the Insta client, which needs the basic package and the SQL plus package. Okay, but for these options I will be using the database Oracle home itself. And the Java executables in path, Java should be installed, Perl should be installed, and the Perl data dumper. Okay, these are the things like you should be having your default GRE and the Perl release 5.10. okay, now about the MV2 features and the operations we're going to discuss about. I have already said there are multiple operations could be done. One is the expdp, impdp, then you can create the buckets, delete bucket, list bucket, and then the dump also you can do that, like in the list dump, put dump. These are the things very important. Put dump, where you will be putting the dump from object storage bucket in putting the dump from your local file system to the object storage bucket. You can also list the dump, you can delete the dump, get dump, everything. And the schema operations, you can do the advisor will show you that what advisor normally will run fast at the beginning, so it will do that what are the objects is going to be migrated, and report will be doing that. After the last steps we'll do the report, like just kind of a comparisons of the source database and the target database, and the recompilations. And another thing is very important, we'll be doing multiple times today, like encrypt password operations using the ENC pass. So in these particular operations we will be using multiple passwords, like we'll be using for source database password, we'll be using the target autonomous database passwords, and also these all passwords should be encrypted. We also using some password for the OCI level, like OCI user password. These all passwords should be encrypted, and we will be encrypted those passwords using this particular ENC pass command. So let's proceed to the next step. Well, this is my source database. Okay, I logged in as in PDB1. So I have load few of the sample users and some objects, like in the HR I got this many object type, and this is the count. Similarly for PM, similarly for IX, similarly for OE, and SH. Okay, so these are the sample objects I have put into my source database, and these are the objects I am going to migrate to the autonomous database. So the first steps, what I'm gonna do, I'll be showing you that how to run the schema, install the schema advisor and run here. Okay, so for the schema advisor, this is the Oracle node. For the schema advisor, you have to install something that you have to install from here, like install ADB advisor SQL, which will create a users, provide some grants, and then there is a PDF file. Okay, there is a PDF file where you know that how to run it, and there is an option is given how to run it. Okay, and then the next thing is that how to actually run this generate advisor report. Okay, so the first things I have already installed. So I have already installed this particular field SQL. This is advisor.sql. This is you have to install, you have to download from your local systems, and you have to transfer to your autonomous you have to transfer to your on-prem database server. So I already did it. It's in my files one location. Okay. This is the ADB1 sequence I have. So let me open these things. This is the user. I have just changed the passwords, so you have to create the users, and there is some grants. Okay, and I have changed the username to ADB01 and put the other details accordingly. Okay, if I run these things, it says yes, user created, grant succeeded. Few things got failed because these tables was not exist. So I think we should be good. Now we'll try to log into the users. ADB01 01. Okay, I am able to log in. So now based on the document, we have already created the user. Now the next thing is that we are going to run the schema report. So we'll set these parameters. Okay, and we'll run these things. Here we'll be using all just as a sample report, and ADB type. ADB type is also mentioned. It is our ADW. This is because I am going to create ADW. So it's gonna take some maybe less than a minute to create a nice report. Okay, we'll go through that jointly what's there inside. Okay, now the report says the ADB version, advisor versions, instance name, database name, that is okay, blah blah. Now this is the summary. There are constraints, these numbers, dimensions, evaluation constraints, index, what are the things is there. Section 2, following objects will not migrate. XML type with clause and the object oriented query is not supported autonomous database. It's not going to happen. Second, XML schema will not migrate. No, XML schema is not supported. Okay. User defined 6 schemas is not supported, will not migrate. Definitely 6 things will not go there. Partition no logging storage attributes will be changed to logging. Partition created with no logging will automatically be created. ADB is logging. Okay. External tables will be created as regular tables. It's already given. There is only one external table, sh cells transactions ext. Okay. Second and third is the index or IoT tables will not be created as regular tables. Note, index organized tables are disallowed in ADB. When you create an IoT in ADB, the tables get created is a non-IoT. Okay. Section 4, migration additional info. What is given? Tables and partition will be compressed in query high in ADW. When migrated to ADW, if a table partition detail does not contain compression clause, it will be created with the default compressions of query high to modify these things. Okay, like in the compressions, there is some default features in the ADW. We can change it there. I believe it will be better that we can change it after it is get exported or after it is get imported. Okay, there are a lot of things is there. User defined table space is not allowed in ATPS and AWS serverless. Yes, that's true. Creations of the table space disallowed in ATP and AWS serverless because it will be all the table space clause will be ignored and it will be created in the data dictionary data table space. So it will be all the table space will be data. So because we cannot create the data table space here. And schema owners user attributes will be modified in ADB. Okay, this will be all modified to data. And the last thing is that database options currently in use but will not available in ADB. The following database options directly in being used. ADB does not have the options installed. Tuning pack, yes, it's not there. So this is a comprehensive reports for actual migrations. You have to go case to case, and you have to make sure what is not migration, what is not migrating to the ADB, and you have to have a separate plan for that. And so this is the worth of running these things, and this report is quite comprehensive, and it's need a very proper planning what you should do at the time of actual migrations. Okay, so the next part, so this part is over. Now we are going to install the MV2ADB. Now for the installations of the MV2ADB, you have to download from these sections. In Mac it is sometimes it's quite strange. I'll show you how it is downloaded. It is downloaded, if I'll download rightly, it's downloaded in a very strange way. You can see that, I think it is what I have did. I have renamed this particular RPM. I transfer the RPM here and is as a MV2ADB RPM. Okay, so once I transfer this RPM here, now I'm going to install it through root. Command is RPM -I and RPM name. Okay, it says that RPM is already installed in OPT MV2ADB. So if I'll go to the OPT MV2ADB, you can see that there is a conf folder, which I'll go to the conf folders, and there is a configuration file. This configuration file I have to update, and which will be the main configuration file for my entire operations. Okay, I shall do it later. The next steps, what I'm going to do that, before going for the update, this is a I'll just show you. I'll take a I'll just rename these things, and I'm going to show you what's there inside. MV2ADB has to be run through root. Please note that things, either you can run this through the root, or there is another option that you can provide some kind of allow our users sudo options to run this through the MV2ADB. Since this is my test machine, so I'll be running through the root. So this is there is a lot of entries should be there. The DB parameters, the source parameters, the destination parameters, the object store parameters, the OCI level parameters, the hell lot of parameters should be there. Okay, and there is also default some kind of sample parameters is given. So what is the parameter you can put, but I'll show you everything, what are the things we can provide. Okay, so before going into that, I need to have my ADB database should be installed as well. I'll create another server sessions, which will be required because I'll be parallelly doing some of the steps. Okay, and going to the OPT MV2ADB. So I can create a new one now. So I'll put a new one as a target, and I'll get a free one. Okay, so only the things I need to provide here to provide a admin password, that's it. So it's gonna take maybe less than a minute to create the database. In the meantime, I can now solely put my all concentrations on the creating a updating the MV2ADB configuration file. Okay, so I'll go back to my MV2ADB. So this is my MV2ADB. The first thing is that I'll be going from the command. This is about the DB parameters. It's about DB connection strings. So if I'll go back to my Oracle node, it's starting with the double hash. Okay, and thereafter it will be having a host name of the IP address, host name or IP address of my source instance. The host name is Oracle database. Okay, and the next thing is that I have to provide the DB name. The DB name is for this PDB1. Okay, the next thing is that source DB passwords. Now there is a catch. What it says, source DB system passwords with the advisor command must be encrypted by the MV2ADB and ENC pass. That means what about the system password we have used? I have to encrypt it this using this MV2ADB ENC pass, and I have to provide the encrypted password. Yes. Okay, so that's why I have used my other sessions. I'll be using ENC pass. Okay, now it is asking for the password. That means the plain text password which I have given for my system password, system users, my source database, I will be providing here, and it will give me the encrypted password. So I got my first encrypted password. That's it. That is for my DB system user. Okay, the next thing is that schemas. Okay, here you can see the schemas. I have to provide the schemas. So the schemas I will be providing here HR, OE. Okay, so I have given this HR, OE, PMIX, these 4 schemas. I have not given SH, though the SH is one of the schemas I have used. There is a reason for that. The reason I am going to tell you now. The reason is that if I'll go back to, I believe my database is currently created, the autonomous database. Yes, if I'll go back to the user particular database and go to service console, and I go to the administrations, database actions, database users, you can see the database users. There is admin user, GG admin user, ABS SAP users, but due to some reason, if I'll go to the action like SQL development, and if I'll go search the here the navigator, you can see that there is already a SH is there, and it's already having some tables. So what happens if I'll try to put this SH, whenever I will try to put the SH in the IMPDB, it says it could not able to create the users, and it failed. So I don't know, maybe SH here they use it internally, it's already having some tables, maybe sample tables or whatever it's, but whenever if I include this SH here, this failed. So I have faced this trouble. That's why I am purposefully removing, not putting the schemas here. Okay, the second things, if I'll go back full, okay, I'll not provide any full or excludes anything. Okay, because if I'll provide you full, it will take a full EXPDB I could have given, and that time I don't have to provide these schemas. Remap is another very interesting thing. It will remap that what is the particular source table space and the target table space. It will remap. Okay, source table space, the target table space. For the schemas, I don't know, my table space might be in the user level. So if I can put it these things if I know my table space name, what is the source table space and the target table space. I believe all the schemas in under the users table space, and I can check on that definitely. One thing I have to do, I have to go to my Oracle again. These are all users, so I can easily put users colon data. Okay, dump name, I have to create a dump name, or I can maybe I can give dump 01 dot okay, or expdp.tmp dump path. Okay, dump path, if you can give here what should be the dump path. Dump path is where I want to, for me dump path should be in the slash files one. Okay, dump files, dump files I can give maybe the 2 or 3 dump files. 2 dump files will be fine. Files 1 expdp01.tmp files expdp02.tmp. These files, these steps is not required now because okay, I'll not provide these steps. Why? Because these steps I will fill up once the dump files are created in the expdp, because this step is required at impdp stage. So since I'll be doing one by one, I just want to show you where these steps need to be filled up. Now OH home, this is the source database home. For me it is opt Oracle product 19c, and then should be db home, should be db home underscore 1, db home underscore 1. okay, ic home instant client Oracle home, as I said. Since I'm using my Oracle home as my IC home, so I have not separately installed any IC home, because if you install the IC home, you have to have the client, SQL client, everything. Sometimes this MV2ADB installed in the separate servers, that's why maybe the this IC home is required. But for me, that Oracle host servers and the MV2 server is same, so I'll be using the same as well. Okay, next about expdp portions, dp impdp parameters. This section is optional because I am not going to use any compressions, additional extra expdp parameters, job names, enc password, enc types. This is enc password. Here the password will be taking the system passwords, so I am not providing any kind of additional password for the compressions. Okay, so the next things I'll be moving to the ADB sections. ADB parameters is for my target database. So the ADB name, what is ADB name? ADB name is, my name is target. Okay, what is the ADB passwords? The admin passwords, similarly we have to put the passwords in, we have to first encrypted the passwords, and then we have to put it here. Okay, as it mentions in this particular document, we have to encrypt. I know my passwords, I have to run the utility again. Okay, let me go back to my root. So I am going to enter my password now. Okay, so the next password I got it. This is for my encrypted passwords for my autonomous database admin password. Okay, the next thing is that another things I will be required, that is the C file. I'll show you what is the C file. C file is mentioned here. This is something around the DB connections. I have to go to the DB connections and download the client credentials, so I'm going to do that right now. This is the tools. No, I have to go to the database DB connections, and there is an option called wallet type. I have to choose the instance wallet, which is the default options, and the download the wallet. And for the downloading wallet, I will provide some passwords. This is immaterial. Okay, and I download. So it's downloaded on my system. You can see that I have to transfer this password as a zip file to my source database machines, where I have installed the MV2ADB. So I'm going to do that right now. I'll be transferring this particular zip file now. Okay, got transferred. So let me check whether it is got transferred or not. Yes, it's got transferred. So the path will be there, files. Okay, so for the next thing, I don't have any proxy host, proxy port. Now the next things, it comes about the object storage, object store properties. So the ADB parameter properties are end. The next thing is start with the OCI region. My OCI region is US East Ashburn, so it should be US Ashburn -1. It should be. What is the namespace? Namespace is related to my object storage. Okay, namespace, I'll do one thing. These portions these portions is again needed when I'll create the object storage of bucket. So I'll be showing you how to create the bucket. These portions will be required for import. Okay, so I'll be putting these things a little bit later once I create the bucket using this create bucket command. Okay, and then I'll fill it these portions. The next portion is the OCI ID, the test01. Okay, and the OCI password. For the OCI password, why I have to create? I have to create the authentication tokens. Okay, to create the passwords, put anything, generate token, and generate token. So it's there is a password is there. I have to encrypted that password again using this MV2ENC pass command. So I'll just copy the passwords. I don't know what is the password here, and I'll do it again. Sorry, copy. Okay, this is a bit bigger because I believe the password is actual password is also very big. So I'll copy these things, I'll paste it here. Okay, the next thing is about the proxy host. Proxy, I don't have any proxy. OCI client, I am not using any client. End of the file. I think this is good as of now. Okay, so the first steps, what I am going to do, so I was configuring my MV2ADB configurations file. These steps I will be executing some of the steps. First steps, what I am going to do, I'll be running some kind of advisor. This is a kind of, you can say, alternative of the schema advisor which we ran earlier. Okay, so if my other steps are correct, I can run my advisor now. Okay, so the command is like advisor, and then configuration file is configurations. And what is my configuration file? mv2adb.conf. Okay, let's run it. Okay, for the configuration file, I have to provide the path of the conf. Okay, what it says, ADB target, ADB CT file, ADB CNAME. Okay, so anything such things are missing. I thought that I have given this C file, but okay, it was missing. The C file is something. Okay, okay, hopefully it should be fine this time. Let's run it. Okay, it's running now. Let's start giving this advisory report. This, as I said, this is the alternative of the schema advisors. Okay, we'll go through one by one. Okay, here the advisor starts. It says about the similar thing. It's I believe the same command, same things. It says about the first, it says about the HS schema. It says which are the objects in the C schema directory is not going to be moving out of the C's prior to migrations. Okay, if I require something, it cannot migrate from the sys. This is quite normal. And it's also said that IoT level, these are the steps we have already seen. Table and partition will be compressed, yes. User defined table space is not user defined table space, yes. HR users, it should be in the data we have already given. And tuning pack is not there. And then similar thing for the OE. I believe that report is exactly same to whatever we have seen for the schema advisors, the SQLs we have installed, and we ran the schema advisor report. So this is exactly the same kind of report, but worth of comparing once. Okay, the next thing what I'm gonna do, I'm going to create a bucket. Maybe I can do the expdb right now because I have already given the expdb, but I will be giving the create bucket command. Similar things, so things are same. Create bucket, it will create a bucket for me. And did I give the bucket name? 1 minute, hold on, I have to provide some bucket name, then only you can create the bucket. No, I have not. I have to also give the bucket name as well as OCI namespace. So let me put as a bracket name as a test 01, and what is the OCI namespace. So I was wrong earlier, I said that I can give this parameter later. No, I have to create this parameter, otherwise it cannot create the bucket. So I'll go to the object store, I'll choose the namespace from my existing bucket. Say I'll just go to the CloudVi, and this is the namespace I'll be using. Okay, that's great. Let's try using. Okay, it says the bucket test 01 is created successfully. That's great. The next steps, what I'm going to do, try to expdb. Expdb, you know that I have given this my path, so it should able to create this expdb export dump into the path, that is /files1. okay, let's see how it goes. So it is doing this expdb, and it is, you can see that it is taking the system credentials for my database, source database. Okay, now it is actually exporting. This is a normal expdb, so it depends upon the speed depends upon your resources, how much resource, how much RAM you have in your source system. Okay, one error, I believe this error only partial tables for fine grain access control. Okay, that's okay. Now I got the dump file sets. Now I have to put this particular path in my configuration file. This path will be used during this IMPDB. Okay, so I'll open this configuration again. These portions I was referring before, yeah, dump files. Separated by comma. Okay, rest of the steps looks good. Now before doing the import, I can check some of the few other steps. So I have already done the create bucket, I have already doing the export. The next thing is that what I have to do with that, I have to maybe I can check with the list bucket, that is okay, but I have to, real thing is that I have to do the put dump. Put dump is that it provides the capability to load files into a bucket to on Oracle Object Store. So let's do the put dump things. Okay, put dump, got it. So it says it's success. It's able to put the files into the dump. We can check it maybe in the front level, maybe in the front end we can check these things. So I'll go to the object store. Okay, it's created in the root compartment. That is something funny, that it's created in the root compartment. So it is test01. Inside the test01 you can see the dump files are there. Okay, so the next thing is that maybe I can check intermittently some list dump. This is not required, but definitely I can check. You can see that list dump file, what is there inside, that hash, maybe I can check whether they're okay. The MD5 hash is given, what is the bias, what is the last modified things. So this is something useful if you want to check what is there inside. Okay, the next thing is that it will be import. This is the big steps, because now whatever I have done, I'll go to the my document. Whatever I have done, I have done store everything here from this, from my source database using this MV2ADB. Now everything is stored in the Oracle Object Store. Now the next step is that I have to do the import and migrate my stuffs to the Oracle Autonomous Database. So IMPDB, it will get all the configurations details from the configuration file required for this import. Some of the compilations warning, I believe the reason is given here. Okay, now it is started importing. It's also now giving the grants. It says some of the users are not exist. That's okay. Okay, though it says some of the import data failed because some of the errors were received, multiple errors for related to this compilations warning. Some of the data types, object types is created with the compilations warning, and some of the dependent object types also escaped, because I chosen the random level of data, so some of the user roles doesn't exist, so many type of things. But actually this is the IMPDB related error. This is not IMP2ADB error, but it's able to import most of the data here. Okay, so if I'll go back to my IMPDB, I'll just make sure whether it is correct or not. Go to the autonomous database. I believe I'll go to my database actions, SQL. You can see I can see whether HR schema is schema or not. HR, yes, it's having these tables. Okay, select star from HR dot. Well, I can check this way, but the easier options would be to run some reports. See here, once my IMPDB is over, there is an option called run report, which will compare the data in between source and target. Okay, now this is the comparisons. Database objects reports. This is having the table 7 view, table triggered sequence, index view. There are 202 objects are there, and here there are 161. There are few of the objects didn't come, so mostly I believe type, yes, there is 34 types, which is index. One index didn't come. Okay, for OE and HR, OE, yes, there are many index in the OE and HR didn't come, so somebody has to do a comparisons and manually checking why didn't come, what is the things are missing. Maybe if we require to create the indexes, we can create the manual indexes later. So but this is a very vital comparisons, that what are the objects present at the database and what are the objects we require in the we got it after the migrations, and what is their respective numbers. Okay, so before concluding these sessions, I just want to quick recap what we did. This is the two nodes. I'll be providing the nodes ID there, definitely in the my detail sections. So this is the two nodes, MV2ADB, and the another node is for Schema Advisor. Okay, these are the two nodes I predominantly followed. What I did, I first install the this particular files, like install ADB Advisor sequels, also the PDF notes. I followed that how to install this ADB advisors, and I created a report before actually moving the actually migrating the data into the ADB. So it will give me a comprehensive report, so I knew beforehand what I can expect, what are the objects are going to be migrated, what are the objects are not going to be migrated, what are the pre-actions I need to take, what are the post actions I have to take. Okay, so this is a very good way to start up. The later what I did, I went here for the history sections. I installed the Linux for RPMs. Yeah, it's based on your things. It's running the Linux and the Solaris. So sometimes happens if your actual data is there, moving actual source data in the Windows systems, you can do one thing, you can create a separate Linux box, install the MV2ADB there, and you have to just create a link up in between that. For me, both are the same box, otherwise you can definitely create a MV2ADB in that separate box, there is no problems. And then now talking about the configurations were the big part, and we have, there is this maybe some separate sections. One is the DB parameter sections. This is something DB connection strings, like it started with the / and then your this is your source name. Your source could be IP or database server names. For me is a server name, then it is a PDB. Since I am using a PDB, it's my pluggable database, I am using a PDB. And then the systems DB passwords in the encrypted form, and the schemas. I have given the schemas. I have not used the full option, but the schemas, the remap option is this. I'll say it's a optional options, but you can give the remap if you know that which schema server, which of the if you have a multiple table space, you can give the remap options. You can give the comma separated remap options as well. And the dump name, is something that it will give you the what is the dump name, initial dump name is given. You can see that here, since I have given the expdp.tmp, my actual dump files created is the expdp _01.tmp 02.tmp. The dump path where the dump will be created in your source database server level. The OH home is my RDMS Oracle home, and what is the IC home? IC home is the instant client home. Now let me clarify why the instant client home is required. As I said, MV2ADB is only run for the Unix flavors. Maybe you can have your source database running in you can have your source database running in somewhere you have not installed your MV2ADB, you have installed somewhere differently. So there in MV2ADB server you have to have a instant client with the auto IMPDB. So it should have not only the instance client, also it is having the full SQL client should be installed. Okay, so for me, since I have used the same server, for me OH home and the IC home is same. EXPDB INTP parameter I have not used anything. ADB parameters is required for the ADB purposes. ADB, what is my autonomous database target, autonomous database admin passwords in encrypted forms, and ADB CTC files. You know that from the I have created the client client credentials downloaded, and I have put these things in downloaded in my client machines and transfer this particular zip file into my source in my server where the MV2ADB is installed. Similarly, for the object store properties, I have to provide the region, the OCI namespace, object bucket, OCI bucket. This will be predominantly required for create buckets and the import, and the OCI ID, OCI ID, what is the credentials ID you are using. So normally the OCI ID, the username, and I have to create the token, authentication token for the OCI ID, not the passwords, authentication to, and then I have to encrypt the authentication token into the OCI password. The client properties, these are the things is not required. Okay, so another thing is that you can see in the node there is a auto options. What about the options I have used? These are the step-by-step option. Auto option is that it will done everything in a single shot. So if your configuration is fully updated, you can use the auto options. Auto option, it will do the following things like EXPDB from the source, upload, dump over the object stores, and the EMPDB into the autonomous database cloud. So these three options will be included into the auto options, but it is better to if you do it separately. Okay, what else? There are other options which I have not utilized because they are not, I'll not say they don't have any purpose, but definitely you can use this like delete bucket, delete dump, get dump, list dump, recompilations. These are the things I have not used because these are optional things you may or may not use for your purposes. But what are the important one I have already shown you, like EXPDB, IMPDB, create bucket, list bucket, list dump, put dump, and advisor, report, and ENC pass. Hopefully you get a good idea how we can migrate the data from our on-prem database server to the autonomous database cloud. Thank you for watching these things.